And earlier this week, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency on insecurity in a bid to upscale the campaign against purveyors of violence, banditry, and abductions that have been going on across the country. Well, coming at a time that various media platforms are inundated with videos and footage of Nigerians being held against their will, and many of them going on to pay the ultimate sacrifice despite paying hefty ransoms to the non-state actors. Many have commended President Tinubu's presence of mind in finally embracing an option which has been on the table for a fairly long time. Well, joining us now to have a conversation around President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency on insecurity and mandate for major reforms is Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. Always great to have you here on Newsday. More analysis on situations that we'd rather not have to analyze, but it's great to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
So the president has declared this state of emergency on insecurity finally. What is the legal and practical significance of this? Will it provide the executive necessary tools, or is this some type of symbolic gesture to ease tensions and change the narrative farther down the line?
Well, I think first let's also commend the president for realizing that this insecurity has actually eaten up and is embarrassing the country. A situation whereby some young, people will be on the social media threatening to even arrest the president himself, threatening to arrest everybody that matters in this country. I think it's no longer a joke. If people think that insecurity must continue to be a means of livelihood, using human lives, insecurity to continue to make money, dirty money with the lives and properties of Nigerians, now is the time to stop that thinking and practice. So therefore, we commend the president for his pronouncement. However, in the past, such kind of pronouncement had been made, and not much had been seen by Nigerian people.
Exactly.
So that is why we in CISLAC, we are urging the president to follow this with practical action and steps. Let's have a committee that will first deal with the issue of security sector reforms, specific sector reforms that will enable Nigerian security to be more efficient, more effective, more competent to deal with the insecurity in this country. Secondly, we need to make sure that in this pronouncement that the president has given, the agencies themselves understand the need for them to cooperate, to partner, to share information, to actually share intelligence and not to be seeing it as a robbery, work. And then again, to also clearly define roles again. The roles are actually defined, but to ensure that those roles are properly spelled out so that there will not be misplacement of roles and priority that the security agencies will do. For example, there's no reason why you should overwhelm the soldiers on every security issue in the country when you have police, you have DSS, you have National Defense the other security output in the country that are supposed to be playing internal security issue, but dragging the army and making the army to be overwhelmed because they are in operation in almost all the country, all the states in the federation. So we need to ensure that these other agencies are empowered, are given the necessary tools and equipment, and also the recruitment should also be done on the basis of a very transparent and competent manner, not on the basis of who pays for the form to even obtain the forms. So if you take those steps and you also clearly stop procurement corruption in the defense system, you will be able to see how we can actually, achieve this proclamation by the president. But if it is just to douse tension, I think Nigerians will continue to suffer the consequences of, insecurity in this country. We have reached a state that you could see the large chunk of our official personnel, security personnel, guiding, just VIPs, including Yahoo, including all sorts of people who they could just pay, because it's not free, Michael. The police receive allegedly money from all those people that they are asking them to guide them, especially the private citizens. You don't just get 10, 20 policemen guiding you, just put it like that.
Yeah.
So definitely, the corruption in that process, the president must also do something about it. I think the president needs to call the space the space. The police need to be properly reformed in this country. If you don't reform police and policing generally, the insecurity will continue to happen. And also we need to do a lot of trust building again, because the communities no longer trust our security personnel in most times, especially the police, because many communities volunteer credible information and they ended up being implicated. So some of them, they are afraid to even come and volunteer information that can help the security agencies to tackle, an early warning, and then ensure early response. So,
well, you've said a lot, and it seems like there's a lot to unpack here. But what we're unpacking isn't the first time, it isn't the second time, it isn't the third time these things have been discussed. We don't work in these national security positions, but I'm sure they're all aware of the issues on ground. What is the issue between discussing what to do, if we do this, if we do that, versus actually implementing it, implementing the force to clear up corruption within the agencies, implementing a way to build trust amongst communities, implementing a way to make sure that the money that's being spent is spent in the right way and there's no wastage, making sure that military officers aren't carrying the handbags of the elite. We all know what the issues are. So just as the president has implemented financial reforms that were very painful for a lot of people, and we're now eventually seeing the dividends, what will it take for them to implement have that same kind of energy to implement it in insecurity? Do you think this is the time that it will actually work? Because this state of emergency, it's not the first time we've heard of it.
So what we need is the same political will that the president has demonstrated in terms of our, fiscal policy reforms. Now that, in fact, it's even more urgent, more important, because we are talking about saving the country and saving the people of the country. If this threat continue, I can tell you no investor is going to come to Nigeria. Mm-hmm. The current investors will also run away. And then at the same time, even the officials themselves, with the kind of weapons we are seeing in the hands of non-state actors, they themselves, they cannot, be saved. A situation whereby these guys are on social media coming out to even, provoke the Nigerian security agencies, and to even say that those people they abducted, they were not released by the show of force, but that they negotiated, this. Nigerians are disturbed, terribly disturbed that government is easily going after people who criticize policies either at the state or at the national level. You arrest them, find them wherever they are, but these same people who are making people not to have sleep, not to have peace, you are not able to go after them. I think there's need for government to do a lot to give Nigerians confidence that no terrorist, no criminal is above the law, and that they have the capacity to control this and make Nigeria and Nigerians safe. If they do that, I believe that many Nigerians will have more confidence, more trust in the government ability to provide them with the safety. I think for me, let the president take this decisive action. Clearly mention a committee that would be given terms of reference to ensure that these reforms that the president talks about works. Because it should not just be a pronouncement like it has used to be. Let Nigerians see some practical action. And this policy has to do with a lot of reforms, even within the legal frameworks, including the budgetary allocation. We cannot be spending these billions and trillions of naira in terms of security sector reforms, and yet the situation is getting worse. You need to tackle corruption in the security sector. You cannot be procuring arms and nobody is seeing the arms is ending up in the hands of criminals. This has to stop. Nigeria has a choice either to deal decisively with the insecurity and the criminal and the sponsor of these terrorism that we are facing in this country, or to continue to lament, and then we'll be insulted by global leaders.
Yeah.
You can imagine how everywhere people are abusing Nigeria, calling us discredited. I feel bad for anybody to look at our country and call us that we are a disgraced country. We are not disgraced. It's just that we are unlucky. We have some people at the leadership position at the various level that have created this condition for this to happen over the period of time.
Yeah.
It's not today. It is not, the act of Bola Tinubu. Yeah. Maybe he's just a contributor of what has been going on, but it has been going on in the last 2 decades, and we have to stop it.
And, there have been criticisms of many things, but including the way that these rescues are conducted, in that the payment of ransom has made this insecurity issue a very lucrative business. And also, when the abductees are found, they're paraded on television, they're given clothing, they're, all this fanfare. We see them united with their parents, which is nice, which is good. But we never see the actual perpetrators of the crimes. We never see the kidnappers getting arrested. We don't see them being paraded. There's no show of shame. So it's almost like everything has been turned on its head. The bandits and the kidnappers are getting the ultimate reward. We have to find a way to switch that. But speaking of the way that these individuals are paraded, what 2 or 3 specific measurable indicators, other than this parading of the abductees when they're found, what should they be doing to show the Nigerian public, and what should the Nigerian public use to judge and assess the success or the failure of this new reform mandate of about 50,000 more officers being deployed over the next 12 to 18 months? What measurement should we use to see if any of this state of emergency and increased troop outage is working? So
ideally, this should not be something that you should actually be parading innocent people to show that you have done great work. I think for me, it has to do with the fact that it is your own responsibility. You take this as your responsibility to ensure that you perform your duty as a officer or as a leader given that responsibility. It's not about showing that, yes, you have done this. There's nothing to show really other than just to ensure that you have performed your work as assigned to you, by the relevant, authority or legal frameworks. That's number one. Number two, for me, you are actually creating more psychological destruction for the people.
Yes.
That you are now parading them,
yes.
When you are unable to parade the people that, are actually perpetrating these crimes against humanity. 100%. Those are the people that you should parade, not the innocent people that you claim to be saving their lives. I think the approach has to change, and people need to understand that demonstration of, people just to showcase that you have done something wonderful is not anything wonderful. In fact, rather you are traumatizing them. You are making them to look, completely, and sent in our society. Let's go after the criminals. Let's make sure that we do not celebrate the criminals. If you check the social media now, these guys, they are boasting, they are proud, they are even happy that they are doing what they are doing, unleashing terror on Nigerian people. I think, there's need for government to seek support to deal with this situation at hand. I want to believe that there's nothing wrong for Nigeria to seek support, even from our neighboring country, if they have the expertise to deal with a particular crime, in the country. And
I completely agree. Seeking support, especially when it comes to the capacity we don't have,
exactly.
Technology,
exactly.
All this back-end internet, high-tech advancement that some of these Western societies have. Because, Mr. Rafsanjani, have you seen on TikTok, I don't go there, but they actually have these bandits streaming live. They have TikTok accounts. They're streaming the torturing of some of these, some of their captors.
Yeah, yes.
They have IP addresses. They have TikTok accounts.
Everything
you know,
there.
but instead we go after individuals who insult politicians online,
who criticize,
and they're able to find them. So are you telling me that the gunman with his gun and the money stacked to his head, that's bragging about killing a whole village, you can't find him? What can be done better by the government? If you were to advise the president today on one critical policy adjustment or addition to any of these announced reforms that he talked about, what would it be?
The president should do one thing. Let him, set or create a think tank that will be advising him from non-state actors' perspective on different areas of reforms in this country, including the security, because they will be able to tell him the truth. They will be able to tell him, a patriotic suggestions that can help to improve the security situation in the country. If he is going to continue to listen to those who have been telling leaders and himself the same story, we are not going to make any progress. One credit that you must give to Obasanjo: when Obasanjo came, he set up a non-governmental, or rather non-state actors think tank, giving suggestions, recommendations, on the various policy issues. And that's how we were able to make a lot of progress, in terms of various socio-economic reforms during Obasanjo. Today, the non-state actors, this government does not even recognize them, does not even recognize their abuse. For example, this whole issue on the Trump thing, I am telling you, non-state actor could have been able to address this issue in the manner that Americans will even listen to them, respect them. We are seeing, we have access to many of these guys. We can hold meetings in the Congress, in various places, and they will listen to us. In the embassy here, we are always having exchanges of views. Even when the State Department gets people to come, we are the pace that they meet, they discuss. But these guys, they don't think that we even matters. And they are totally demonstrating incapacitation to even hold meetings with the relevant people. You are going to go and meet some junior people that are insulting us.
And embarrassing
us when you have non-state actors that are respected in that country, that they can actually, go and talk to them and they will listen to them. Already Trump had made up his mind based on whatever information, whether rightly or wrongly, that he got. You need to have those credible non-state actors, which we have hundreds of them, or if not thousands of them, that they can actually go to the US, talk to them, and let's see how we can liberate from the partnership that we have with America. We already have a relationship with the US.
Yeah, very well said. We can continue on this subject for hours, but unfortunately we are out of time. It's always great to have you in the studio, even though it's rare to have you in the studio. We usually have you from Abuja. Auwal Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. Thanks for joining me today on Wednesday.
Thank you.